What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Let's Talk Movies podcast. I'm your host, Brian Drolet. And as you guys can see, I'm in a new studio, new location. I've been telling you for weeks I was going to interview one of my best friends, comedian Ben Morrison.
Give it up for Mr. Ben Morrison!
Thank you. How about that intro music? That shit's aggressive. My MDMA kicked in on the way up here, and I'm tripping my balls off right now. That was incredible. Play that track again?
I'm in his studio today, so why don't we just get right to my guest, Ben Morrison. Can we get Ben Morrison to set? Okay, all right, cool. All right. Oh, here he is right now.
Sorry, I was eating porridge again.
Oh, Ben Morrison. He was eating porridge again.
Brian thinks he's a freestyle rapper, and for 20 years, whenever I hang out with him, we have some drinks, he starts rapping, and every single time it starts with, Ben Morrison, eating porridge again, and then he goes, slap Dracula in the back of an Acura. It's like an inside joke. He did it so many times.
It's all truth, and what he doesn't want to tell you guys is I'm D-O-P-E. Dope.
You know what I have to say to that? N-O-P-E.
This isn't Let's Talk About My Friends Drunken Freestyles podcast, okay? This is the Let's Talk Movies podcast. Are you adjusting the image?
Yeah, because I care about quality, Bragg.
All right, see that? Look, see, this is why I had to interview this guy, because...
Even more.
All right, he's still... Listen, I'm going to keep this running. This is going to be part of it.
Yeah, it should be. They can tell how
Look,
seriously
close up on your nipple.
we take our job.
The Let's Talk Close Up on Nipples podcast. See, I knew whenever you're going to interview a comedian, the interview is never going to be normal, which is a good thing. Ben, I met Ben.
Damn it, it's not center.
I can adjust this image in post. You are aware, right?
It's about getting it right the first time, Brian.
This is all a part of the plan.
That looks better.
The
It's
angle's
called
good?
the Let's Talk Movies podcast, and we're making movies. You got to do it right. Let's talk about making movies the right way.
Yes, you want to get the angle right. You want to get the shot right. And when you're on a set and you're working with professionals. Professionals. I've been trying to tell them, speaking of professionals, the first time I ever met you was going to a set for an MTV show called Damage Control.
Yep.
You were the lead improv actor on the show. And that's where we met like 20 years ago.
Literally.
And then
20.
Ben...
Actually, when it's probably coming up on exactly 20 years ago, because it was in 2003, right, where we did that?
Yes. So it's actually basically 20... Wow. This is our 20th friendship anniversary.
It's our 20th friendversary.
Hey, surprise. Everybody come out. There's actually no interview. This isn't for the podcast. This is...
Wait, do the other half.
They're like, when are these guys going to talk about movies? If I had papers, I'd...
You good?
Yeah. But so Ben also was on MTV's Punk'd, hired by Ashton Kutcher himself.
Long time ago.
But Ben has been in movies. He's created a bunch of his own movies, constantly doing stand-up comedy. He's viral online. Follow him on Instagram at Ben the Morrison. And
I also did a prank show where we pranked people who had failed out of college called Flunked. And then I did a prank show where we pranked.
You're an idiot. Is that a joke or is that real? That's a joke.
Then I did a show where we pranked bongs that had been kicked out called Skunked. And
all right, so at the Let's Talk Movies podcast, we're gonna talk movies finally. Ben, I like to start with this question.
Sure.
What is the movie that changed your life? What's the movie that when you saw it, you were like, I gotta be involved in the entertainment business?
Oh, I have a definite answer for that, and it's a tie between two movies.
Okay.
And to this day, this answer remains true.
Okay.
It's a tie between the Goonies and Stand By Me.
Oh, Jerry O'Connell guy, huh?
Yeah.
It's like sign me up for anything with O'Connell in it. Jerry.
I'm trying to lose weight because let's just say in January your boy could definitely do the truffle shuffle.
Well, maybe if you lose weight, you'll get Jerry O'Connell's career. Maybe that's the secret. That was his secret, right? Yeah. But he was getting booked even when he was heavy in iconic movies. So whether you're fat, thin, or anything in between, it's okay, guys. But so those are great options, by the way.
Well, you know what's funny? It wasn't until I got older and I really began to think about why those two specific movies meant so much to me as a kid And then I realized it's because they were about the adventures of a group of friends that I did not have.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was a pretty like solo, Nickelodeon raised me, not a lot of friends kind of kid. In those movies, it was like an adventure with a group of friends.
And now look, you're having 20th year friend-iversaries.
Friendversary. Wait. you gotta make a hook with your index finger, and then
I gotta do it this way, cause then the knuckles.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you gotta do it the other way too.
With this hand?
Yeah, cause then you get rid of your knuckles in the way.
Oh, it's our 20-year friendversary.
Just a couple of straight guys making hearts with their hands.
20-year friendversary, making our dreams come true.
All right, guys. So I told you this was going to be a very serious episode.
Super serious.
I also love Stand By Me and Goonies. We should have a movie night one night and rewatch those. I haven't seen either of those in a long time.
Oh, seriously?
It's
really?
been at least a decade.
Oh my God!
I know.
Really? It's been that long since you've seen them?
Yeah, it has.
I have seen them recently, and buddy, I am proud to tell you they are just as good as you remember them.
So you stand by.
I stand by them. Especially Stand By Me. It'll hit you very differently now that you're like more of an adult.
Oh, I bet. I remember there's always that scene, right, where there's like a dog in a junkyard or something.
Sick balls.
Yeah. And then, Goonies is so classic. You know, that Asian kid in Goonies finally had his
Everything Everywhere
redemption moment where he said, you know, I thought for the rest of my life I would just be known for that part in that movie, and I would never live up to anything other than that. And I actually can relate to that, and you probably can too, being on, you know, the hills and Punk'd. It's like, all right, like those are old shows. We're ready to get to like a new credit that people know something. Maybe this podcast, you know? Maybe next time we go get coffee, people are like, hey, you guys are that gay couple. Right?
Well, it's like people are like, hey, you're the guy from Punk'd, and I'm like, just once. I want someone to be like, hey, you're that prolific gay male porn actor.
Yeah, just once.
Goonies! 20-year friendversary.
Stand by me!
It's my friendversary with you. Okay.
Alright, this is really going off the rails fast. Goonies, great movie. The Asian guy's back. But no, and Brendan Fraser, by the way. Have you seen The Whale?
I haven't seen The Whale yet.
I actually just watched it. So depressing. So emotionally manipulative. And honestly, come on, the ending, the director, producer, and he's gonna be like, oh, it's so contrived and it's so corny. And I'm sorry to be this guy, but it just is.
When I was growing up, one of the theme parks that was like close to where I lived in Arlington, Massachusetts, right outside of Boston. Like the one that you'd go on school field trips, it was called Whalen Park.
Okay.
Right? And their mascot was a whale. And then they'd have commercials on local TV all the time. We'd go, Whalen Park for a whale of a time. And ever since I saw the whale, the poster for the first time, I was like, you'll have a whale of a time. That should be their slogan. Have a whale of a time.
So anyway, the Goonies, Chunk. I mean, is there more of an iconic character than Chunk?
No.
And, you know, people told that guy when he moved to Hollywood.
Yeah.
And he said, listen, I'm going to be in iconic movies. They laughed at him. And now look at him.
Well, I think that's kind of a pitfall with being a character actor is that, like, I have friends. One of my best friends was kind of heavy. And then he had a heart attack. And then he had to lose weight. And now is way healthier, looks great, feels great.
Doesn't get hired anymore.
But is having a lot of difficulty in the casting room because he's no longer like the fat guy.
Yeah. I knew a guy like that too. It's crazy when your weight is your identity with your acting or your comedy, and then you lose all that weight. It does throw people off a little. Mm-hmm. Look at Rebel Wilson. She gets so much shit. Yeah. And I think she looks great. But, you know, there's definitely truth to this. When you're doing comedy, it's beneficial to you. The more overweight or more character you are, like, if you have a huge nose and a funny voice and you get a nose job and you fix your voice, probably won't be as funny, you know?
You want to know what's nice, though? Is, you know, one actor who will never have to worry about losing weight or anything like that? Henry Butts.
The Goonies is really just no. I mean, I think anybody from our generation loves both of those movies, and it's crazy to be in a movie that is that iconic that 20, 30, 40 years later, we're still buying t-shirts with the graphics to it or still quoting it. And it's funny to think about even that Asian actor being like, man, am I ever going to become anything more than that? Whereas a lot of people would be like, man, just to be in Goonies, if you ever did anything else, is still...
Temple of Doom.
Oh, yeah.
That was his first role.
Indiana Jones? Oh, that's the same actor? What is this guy complaining about?
How did you not know that?
Because I feel like it would be racist to assume that one Asian guy in that one movie was the same Asian guy in the other movie.
Honestly, it would be, and I'm glad you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
He's an ally.
I'm an ally.
So do you just talk about whatever movies you want?
I like to talk with people, so I usually start...
This literally is Let's Talk Movies.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. And normally, it's not all over the place, but again, you're dealing with a comedian, he's got ADD, this guy's checking his phone for comments on his Instagram. Don't you have ADD? Or OCD?
I should really get a new power drill.
But yes, so I usually like to ask people, because... Usually, especially in this business, everybody has a movie that they remember from their childhood where they're like, okay, this is... So now, fast forward, it's 2023. What's a movie you've seen in the last 1 to 3 years that's like iconic to you now, like in your adulthood where you're like, this was an amazing film?
I mean... Okay, all right, stop it. Not necessarily because I thought the movie itself was the best Oscar movie I've ever seen, but because of
You can't say Cats. The new Cat movie, you can't.
Digital buttholes.
Okay.
We've got to make them sure they've got digital cat little buttholes.
We've got to now digitally remove the buttholes. People on the internet don't like the buttholes.
You've got to scrape out the buttholes quickly.
No more buttholes. If I see one more butthole and one more cat, I'm gonna fire everybody. Okay? This is artwork.
So to answer your question,
so the Goonies is. All right, so film from in the last, recent history.
So the movie, the film I'm going to say, oddly enough, is it was Godzilla versus Kong. Now, here's why.
Yes!
Here's why. Because Godzilla versus Kong was the first movie me and my friends went to, like, right when you were allowed to get back into the movies, right?
All right.
That was like the first big blockbuster.
From coronavirus.
Mm-hmm. And that was like the first movie we were allowed to go into. And we all got tickets and saw it at the Chinese theater.
Dude.
It's
it must be
still
so
the name
racist,
of it.
dude.
It's
okay?
still the name of it.
My goodness, this guy.
So, we're in the theater. We have you don't appreciate a movie theater until you're not allowed to go in them for like a year and a half. We were all there. Everyone got popcorn and soda, and had drinks, and we couldn't believe we were in a movie theater. And then we were at the IMAX theater, like at Hollywood Highlands, a gigantic theater, beautiful old theater. And the movie itself was such a good popcorn picture.
Was it? I've never seen that.
It's hilarious. It's hilariously fun and good.
Was it so bad it was good, or it's actually good?
It's not even so bad it's good. It's so self-aware of how cheesy this idea is that it gives you the best. It's gonna be a lizard fighting a gigantic ape for 2 straight hours experience you can have. And people in the theater were losing their minds. Like, it was so much fun. Because everyone was hooting and hollering and throwing popcorn, and it was part of the joy of returning to this American tradition with all of my friends in this historic theater in a movie that was so gleefully over the top. And as an experience, I was like, this feels incredible. This feels like the movie. Like, this is why people talk about the movies. This is why I say, let's talk movies.
Podcast. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please subscribe. And scene. Let's go watch Goonies. No, I love it. It kind of reminds me of Piranha 3D. Kind of has that vibe. It's such a silly concept, and it's very self-aware. It's one of the better comedies of the aughts, the 2000s.
Wasn't the sequel Piranha 3 Double D?
I think it was,
That's
actually. And
brilliant.
I think that one was bad, or not as good as the first. I think the first one was directed by Jason Stolberg, who follows me on Instagram, which I'm like, oh, it's a Piranha 3D guy. So, yeah,
Oh,
see, I know
wait,
your
Brian,
name.
down there. You dropped a name.
Anyways, Piranha 3D, and actually one of the better 3D movies. You know, after Titanic, all these 3D movies flooded the market, raising ticket prices, and most of them sucked.
After Avatar.
After Avatar, what did I say?
Titanic.
Oh, after Avatar, thank you.
Titavatar. Everyone's blue on a ship that's sinking.
I'm so embarrassed. Yeah, he's always making blue people. Blue people are dying everywhere.
I believe that's called Avatar.
I still think she should have shared that wrath. But I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio was blue when he died at the end of Titanic.
Oh, there you go. Dude, at the bottom of the sea, Jack became Jake Sully in the Na'vi.
That's all Avatar is.
Yeah.
It's Leonardo DiCaprio's character.
Yeah, she's like,
They're just freezing.
you see him and he just like fades to the sea, but then you don't cut. The camera follows him. He turns completely blue from the cold, and then at the bottom of the ocean, Zoe Saldana is there.
And she's like, I see you. And he's like, can I have a blanket? Something, I'm freezing. But okay, so yeah. So Godzilla versus King Kong.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a scene in that movie where they like zoomed in on somebody and they said, my God, that's a big ape? Or like something like that.
I'm sure there was. It's been a while since I watched it.
We gotta kill that gigantic lizard. Well, that's awesome.
What's your 2020 on movie?
2020 on movie. That's a great question. You know, let me think about that. So 2020 on. So that, what is that? Basically COVID times.
Yeah. You know what's funny is I watched Tenet in reverse. Nothing happens. Just a normal movie. Nolan joke.
I actually love Christopher Nolan, and
Tenet was.
I feel like I walked out on that,
sense.
or I just was like, I remember being so angry watching that because I had such high expectations.
Was that in theaters? Did that?
I feel
did
like
that
it
make
was. Yeah, I think it was.
I know he was so pissed about what they did with releasing it on HBO Max that he left Warner Brothers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Oppenheimer. I think Oppenheimer's with Universal, or it's not with Warner Brothers, and he'd been with Warner Brothers since the jump.
Yeah, he was really pissed off.
So what's your 2020 on movie?
You know, I think the movie that I found to be the most enjoyable and dynamic in the recent 3 years was Top Gun Maverick.
That was fun.
I just thought that movie was so good. And I honestly wasn't even excited to watch it. I'm not like a big Tom Cruise fan.
We saw that together, didn't we? We had Top Gun Day. Were you with me?
I don't think we saw Top Gun together, did we? I'm trying to remember who I saw Top Gun with. But I just thought that movie had like everything, you know, like even the opening scene where he breaks Mach 12 or whatever it is was badass. And actually Glenn Powell, who plays Hangman, was in my acting class.
Really?
Yeah. Really great guy. I digress. Top Gun Maverick I thought was excellent. Just a really good movie. Have you seen Knock at the Cabin?
No.
Don't knock at that cabin.
It's not good.
It's not. The movie ended and I was livid. I was like, this
Really?
is where we're ending. Can I just tell you, there's no twist. There's no anything.
Oh. Well,
yeah.
fucking spoiler alert.
Yeah. Well, I feel like you should know because you're just going to be livid like
right.
me.
Yeah,
'Cause
that's true.
Every M. Night Shyamalan movie, you're just waiting for the twist, the reveal. This movie just ends. You're like, what?
Well, yeah, what's the point of an M. Night movie if there's no twist?
Exactly. If an M. Night Shyamalan movie is filmed in the woods and nobody hears the twist ending at the end, did a tree fall on his movie?
It's like I spend the money for tickets to see Chubby Checker and I never do the twist.
It's exactly like that. So I want to talk. What's a movie that
was a good analogy.
What's a movie that people like that you hate? You know, we're talking about everything we like. I want to know, what do you just like?
I have an answer.
Screw that movie.
I have an answer, and it's appropriate for Oscar weekend. The Fabelmans. I hated the Fabelmans.
I didn't love the Fabelmans either.
I thought it was so boring. I didn't care about any of the characters. And yeah, me and my sister watched it together, and about an hour into it, you know, because it's like this super serious, like coming of age, you know, magic of movies, and I just look at her and I go, do you fucking like this? I just don't. It's just, there's no stakes. I find it to be
no stakes.
The stakes are so low. I find it to be very tedious. And I just don't like, aside from the kid, of course, I just don't like any of the characters, and so much of the movie is about this family and the character struggles, but it's hard to get invested in the movie if, like...
Your mom's a hoe?
Your mom's a hoe. Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Screw mom! I was so angry.
Yeah.
And I'm just like...
Paul Dano's, he's paying the bills. He's good to the kids.
Right? I mean, this guy... And then it's even the scene where the bully sees his thing and the bully gets mad. That whole scene was like a little cringeworthy, the acting. For me, it just felt very forced. And do you remember that scene? And he's like, why would you make me look like that? Why would you make me look like that? And I'm just like...
But that's such, like... That's so, like, ball tickling for the Academy voters.
Oh, yeah.
You know it's going to win a ton of awards.
They need to tickle some balls.
And here's to be clear, because I know movie people watch this. I think it's a very well-made movie.
Where he puts the camera, all that stuff spectacular.
Technically speaking,
more the
and
story that...
even artistically speaking, it's Spielberg. It's impeccable. The technique is impeccable. You know,
it's just the story that you did.
It's just the fucking people in it I don't care about, and it's 3 hours of them.
And even the whole storyline with the girlfriend, I'm like, why did we need that?
Yeah.
Like, what is this movie really trying? Like, all we all really care about is the Spielberg, how he became a filmmaker part of it, and it's trying to do all these other things where you're just like, can we just get back to?
It's like Steven Spielberg was like, you know what I want? I want a movie of my childhood.
Yeah.
And Hollywood was like, here's a bunch of money.
There you go.
But it tanked. Like, it's probably gonna, it might win. It might very well win Best Picture, but it made $0.
And just in case, Spielberg, if you watch this, I want you to know
we love
this
movie.
Fabelmans.
We love it so much.
It's a great movie. It's actually
your best work.
Changed my life.
What a genius.
Fantastic what you did with all those scenes.
And keep us in mind for Fabelmans too.
Yeah,
even more Fabelmans.
Yeah, I think there should be a sequel.
I was like, when Fabelmans ended, I was like, does the fable end here?
I don't think it does. That's us tickling some balls. Well, listen, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you probably got to go be in a movie yourself. You got to produce.
Yeah, that we're making our own movies.
We're making our own movies. That's right. Look out for more from Brian and Ben. Productions.
Ben.
But you got to say the Ben really low and like an afterthought.
Brought to you by Brian. Productions.
Productions. No, thank you so much for being my guest on this episode of Let's Talk Movies. Thank you all for watching. Please subscribe, like, follow. That's Ben's handle right there. I'm gonna put it in right
Ben Morrison. Ben Morrison.
Follow him. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Oh, thank you.
20 years. And we will see you guys next time. Be sure to subscribe to Up on Game Network as well. And spread love. Let's go get some chicks.
Chicks.
Beer and sports.
Chicks.